Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Slovenia once again, and we're going to have a look at another beer from a brewery you've seen me review a good number of things from before, and I have been impressed with the beers that I've had from these guys, so hopefully this turns out to be another nice one. For this review then we are going to go to Celje, which is about halfway between Maribor, the second city of Slovenia in the northeast, and Ljubljana, the capital, which is right in the centre of the country, to the Savinja Valley, very well known for its hops, and we're having a look at another beer from Green Gold Brewing. This one is the Comet, as you are, a 6% West Coast style IPA, and hopefully it should be pretty nice. If you've watched the channel before, you will know that I'm a huge fan of my old school West Coast IPAs, and you know, the Slovenian hops are really damn good in my experience. I've been very impressed with the beers that I've had from Slovenia over the last couple of years. That started off with Davor Širic, of course, who has you know, been a great follower of the channel for a wee while, and then this one is kind of interesting because these beers, I was sent a big 24 box of Green Gold Brewing beers by Rojnik, who is the owner of Green Gold Brewing, and it was quite random because when I first published my first Green Gold Brewing reviews, he liked them and, you know, shared them around the Facebook and stuff, and then randomly a few months later it's just like, well, I want to send you a box of beer, so he did it, and here we are now in April of 2020. I think it was actually around January or so that he was commenting that he wanted to send me the Slovenian beer box, actually. So a huge thank you to Luca for making this review and the other Green Gold ones that you'll see quite soon possible as well, and hopefully this turns out to be another nice beer. A very interesting brewery, this one. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Green Gold Brewing before. You will see more of these popping up over the next little while. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Slovenian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Green Gold Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So Green Gold Brewing, as I've told you before, is owned by Luca Rojnik, and his family have been growing hops for generations on their family farm in the Savinja Valley. So the farm is 41 acres of land, and apparently it's one of the largest hop farms in Europe. It can be found to the west of Celje, and it's part of the town of September Vysovinski Dolini, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I do apologise for any bad Slovenian pronunciations in this video, not in a language that I'm overly familiar with, of course. But the family farm started about 120 years ago, and it's produced many different Slovenian hop varieties such as Aurora, Bobek, Salaya, Styrian Goldings, Styrian Dragon, and also Styrian Wolf, as well as many other new ones that are kind of out, just starting to get out and about. But they started brewing in July of 2016, and they had their premiere at Sir William's pub in Ljubljana, and it's really kind of gone very well for them. They started off with a 500 litre brewery, and they've scaled up considerably since then. They installed a canning line in 2018, and these days they produce around 2,700 hectolitres of beer, and they've produced around 20 different types of beer in total so far. And I've reviewed, this is the 4th review that I'm doing from these guys, and by the end of this little mini series there will be around 8 or 9, so yeah, I think eight different varieties of Green Gold beer reviews for you here on the channel, so you can go and check out all the different things that these guys have done. The first 2 beers that I had from them were the Kashmir and the Oil Wars, which are very nice, a lovely IPA, and also a big Imperial Stout, which I was really impressed with. And then we've had the Albi Kazbak, which was quite unusual, a limited edition beer, and now we are going to have a look at this one, which I believe is also quite a new one, if I'm remembering what Davor told me correctly. I think this is quite a new release beer, this one. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Green Gold Brewing for the moment. It's one of the first breweries I've heard of that has kind of come out of a hop farm, actually, and so I think they're quite unique in that regard. And you know, if you're interested in trying different hops and things like that, then this is a brewery that you definitely want to check out. They really have quite a unique story. And I discovered Styrian Wolf, and that was one of the beers that Davor sent me. If I remember correctly, that was Reservoir Dogs Lone Wolf. I first discovered Styrian Wolf, and that really introduced me to the idea of Slovenian hops. And so this brewery, when I learned about these guys, this was one that Davor thought I should really try, and I have been impressed with these guys too. But the standard of beers in Slovenia is great. I think it tends to be a rule in Europe that if you come across a country that's very good at wine, when they try their hand at beer, they also seem to do very well at it. I mean, Spain, Greece, you know, Slovenia as well, Italy, you know, these guys have got some very, very nice beers actually. So yeah, Green Gold Brewing, if you're interested in trying different hops from different places, then this is a brewery that you definitely want to check out actually. You'll always get some interesting and unusual flavours out of these. I was a huge fan of the New Zealand hops when I was there back in 2015, so you know, trying some of the Slovenian hops that are lesser known was very, very cool as well. But yeah, as I said, that's all you really need to know about Green Gold Brewing for the moment. Definitely a brewery you should check out if you're interested in different hoppy flavours. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. You can check out the brewery website, and of course if you're interested in the different beers that they've done, you can follow their pages on Untappd, Rate Beer and Beer Advocate, and that will give you more information on each of the individual beers. Although on the website they do have pretty good profiles of all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's go on and actually have a taste of this one then. So I've got notes on the 3 different hops that are in this one, because obviously 2 of them are Slovenian, and a lot of you watching maybe haven't had so much exposure to Slovenian hops. So this one is a 6% West Coast IPA, as I told you at the start of the video, and it's hopped with Comet, which is American, and then Aurora and Styrian Wolf, both of which are Slovenian. So Comet, which is the American hop, this one is quite commonly used in craft lagers apparently. It was quite widely grown in Oregon about 40 years ago, but it's recently been resurrected in Germany, and apparently it gives you a big kind of grapefruity resinous character, and usually it's between 9 and 12% alpha acid. So yeah, I've seen this used in a couple of different beers recently actually. Comet seems to be making a little bit of a comeback. Aurora, this is the first of the 2 Slovenian ones. This is bred from Northern Brewer, a German hop, and it gives you a really spicy and floral bittering quality apparently, so mainly used as a bittering hop from what I understand, and it usually gives you between 7 and 12% alpha acid. But the one that I think is going to steal the show is of course the Styrian Wolf, and this is a Slovenian hop that gives you a lot of melon flavour. It can give you a few other tropical notes as well, but it's between 10 and 18% alpha acid. And you know, my experiences with Styrian Wolf before have been very, very positive. I mean, the first one, as I say, was the Lone Wolf that Davor gave me from Pivovarna Reservoir Dogs, which was a beautiful, beautiful beer. I also had it in a Saison, if I remember correctly, from Oedipus in the Netherlands, and that was, you know, it worked really, really well in the Saison. As I say, it really gives you a beautiful kind of melon type flavour actually, so I'm very curious to see what it has in store for us today. So I think this will have a nice kind of dank bitterness to it, this beer from the Comet, and you know, the Styrian Wolf will give us some nice lovely juicy fruity notes on top of that actually. So I think this will be a very nice kind of old school West Coast style IPA. I'm curious to see what the malt base is like in this, but that is your down low on the 3 hops in this one. For me, this whole journey of, you know, reviewing beers and stuff, it is a little bit about learning, so when it comes to learning about new hops, that's something that of course I am always interested in. But yeah, let's get this guy out then and we will get on with the tasting. As you can see, the artwork on this one, it's obviously a reference to Nevermind from Nirvana, and Luca of course very into his heavy metal music. You know, it was the Oil Wars. I remember that one because I actually thought it was supposed to, I didn't realise that it was Luca Rojnik. I thought it was actually meant to be Joachim Brodin from Sabaton that was on it there. He actually does look quite a little bit like Joachim Brodin, just I think more lightly coloured hair. He does look like Joachim Brodin from Sabaton actually. But there you can see on the side of the can there is the green gold brewing symbol, which is pretty cool. And yeah, this one I think should be really quite nice. As I say, I think Davor told me that this was quite a newly released beer, but 6% ABV, West Coast style IPA. Let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting, and I think this will be really very, very nice. And I'll tell you, as soon as you open this up, there's some beautiful fruity notes coming out of this. As I say, Styrian Wolf, it's a hop that I wish more people knew about. The thing is, I mean, that is the thing, you know, if more people know about this hop, it kind of loses its specialness, if you like. but you know, it is a really very nice hop. If you get the chance to try beers with Styrian Wolf in it, it's very unusual, and I think you definitely should have a go at these. But I'll tell you something, on the pour, this beer looks like a very, very nice old school West Coast IPA. There's lovely juicy fruity notes coming out of it. There's some lovely kind of sweet caramelly notes in there as well, and it certainly looks the part. So as you can see with this one, it's poured a lovely kind of medium amber colour. There's a solid third finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head on this one, and I think that looks very nice. If I shine the light through this beer, definitely a nice kind of medium amber, but this beer looks as if it's in really, really nice condition. You've just got a little bit of that haze, as you would expect from the West Coast IPA, nowhere near on the same level as the New England's, right enough, but it's got a lovely kind of you know, it's got a lovely appearance to it. This one, you do expect the West Coast IPAs to be a little bit more kind of rich and amber. The New England ones tend to be a bit brighter and more yellow, but that's mainly due to the caramel and Pilsner and sort of Carapils malts and things that you'll put in these. The colour of the beer, of course, is dependent on the malt varieties and the length of the boil. But yeah, this looks like a very nice typical West Coast IPA. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. Nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance. Oh yeah, this is nice. It really, the malty side of this beer isn't too prominent. I mean, underneath you can pick out a little bit of a kind of bready malt. It almost, I don't think it'll be American Turo that's in this. I think it's a lot more likely that they'll be using German malt from the likes of Weirmann, or something like that. It probably will be, unless, you know, Slovenia does have a history of, you know, producing beer, so they might be using their own malt, or potentially Austrian or Czech malt as well. That's the other thing. So their malts will be from Central Europe somewhere, I'm guessing. But yeah, you can smell a little bit of that kind of nice smooth white bready thing in there. There's a few grainy notes to the beer. There's a little, maybe a little kind of woody undertone as well. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a woodiness to this one actually. But for this one, it's all about the hops. Yeah, nice little bit of graininess in there. The more you smell of it, you can smell the caramel just pushing its way out a little bit. There's definitely a bit of that kind of sweet caramel in there. It almost comes across as just a little touch toasty, to be honest. There's just a little bit of that toasty dryness almost to the caramels in there. A little bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity kind of thing. Smooth, kind of white, bready notes as well. Like I said, a few grainy bits underneath. But yeah, it's got kind of everything you would expect from the malt base there, and it does smell like a kind of more classic West Coast IPA. Quite recently I've noticed in a lot of the European breweries, they have, a lot of them have been bringing West Coast IPAs back, but they're nowhere near as big and caramelly as they were. They do lean a little bit more towards the biscuity side of things, and of course they're nowhere near as bitter as they would be. For me, a West Coast IPA has to be, you know, 70, 80 IBUs, something like this, and it should be more sweet and caramelly, not just a little bit kind of bready and biscuity. It should have a good caramel backbone to it in my mind. So yeah, I mean, this one I think is going to have a little bit of that, but this one, it does smell a little bit more like it's going to be European brewed. It does remind me a little bit of some of the German brewed West Coast IPAs that I had, and they always smelt a little bit more bready, but you did get the sweetness actually in the flavour of them. The German malts, of course, are known for being very bready. The Czech beers are kind of revered for being a bit bready as well, very smooth beers actually. But yeah, so I do suspect German or Czech malt in this one. But yeah, let's focus on the hoppy side of things then. You can smell the Styrian Wolf coming out of this straight away. It's got that lovely kind of melony note to it, and that, you can really smell that. It's very pungent in this beer. You've got loads of other things going on, but really at the front of the nose you get a lot of that big melony note from the Styrian Wolf. And as I say, it's a beautiful hop. If you find a beer like a single hopped Styrian Wolf, try it, because it's you know, it's not like any other hop that I can remember coming across. The only one maybe to compare it to would be Cashmere, but Cashmere's got a lot more lemon and limey quality to it as well. Styrian Wolf is pretty much more like a straight up melon actually. I think that's why Luca actually likes the Cashmere, because obviously they've got a couple of beers that have got Cashmere in them. The Albi Kazbak, and of course the one that is just called Cashmere. But yeah, so let's try and break down the hoppy side of this then. There is a little bit of earthiness there, there's some nice kind of floral aromaticity, a bit of lighter grassiness as well. You know, it's kind of got everything you'd expect from the green side of things. I would say that there is definitely a little bit of woodiness to this beer as well. But yeah, the hoppy side of things, it's a mix between floral and grassy. I'd say it leans a little bit towards the kind of floral side of things. I like how this, I do like how this goes together. The aroma, this one gets a thumbs up from me. But on the fruity side of things, you can smell a little bit of the kind of darker grapefruit in there behind, which, as I said earlier, will be the Comet. But the floral notes in this are quite distinctive. I'm guessing that's the Aurora giving you a little bit of the spiciness. It does have just a little bit of a spicy quality to it. But lots of lovely kind of melons in there. You do get a little hint of a slightly lemon-limey note, and maybe there's a wee bit of like another kind of tropical note behind it, like an apricot or very slightly mango type aroma. But really, this one is all about the melons. It's the Styrian Wolf. I mean, when it can give you up to 18% alpha acid, it's a bit of a beast. It is going to dominate in terms of the fruity side of things. But the floral characters in this from the Comet and the Aurora are pretty nice, I have to say. So take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma. This one, to me, it strikes me as a very bready, slightly sweet, and a nice kind of spicy, slightly spicy, floral and juicy smelling IPA. I like how the aroma of this one comes together, so take a bit of time and just enjoy that before you taste the beer. But let's have a look at this one now. So this one is the Comet As You Are, a 6% West Coast style IPA from Green Gold Brewing in the Savinja Valley, Celje to be precise, in Slovenia. Let's get stuck in. Slanje, Sko, na zdravje, huge shout out to Davor and a big thank you to Luca for making this review possible. Cheers. That's good. Yeah, this is nice. I like this, you know. I've noticed this, I've said this in a few of the Slovenian reviews, and it seems, I love this when you go and try beers from different countries. You do start to notice traits between breweries and things like that. This one kind of goes back to what I've said previously. I think the Slovenians like their beers to be a little bit oily, and I don't know if it's maybe, I don't know how widely wine is drunk down there, but I've found that a lot of these Slovenian beers are very oily. That's been Lobik, it's been Reservoir Dogs, it's been Pelletson, Tectonic, you know, it's been all of these different breweries that I've had from Slovenia. There is just something about these beers that they like the IPAs to be oily, and they like the fruitiness to have a bit of oily character to it, and this beer does exactly the same thing, and it works, it really does work. But it's really easy to drink this. It's not all that high in bitterness either, I don't think. It's a lower IBU thing. In fact, though, in fairness, I say that now, and you do start to get, the further you go into the aftertaste with this, you do start to get more of the bitterness on the sides of your palate, in fairness. So that's an interesting point. But yeah, the way that this one kind of comes together, I think, is very, very nice. So yeah, I will say straight away, this gets a thumbs up from me. I'm a big fan of these West Coast IPAs, like I said. So I mean, the Kashmir, if I remember rightly, was more of a kind of hazy, a little bit more of a kind of hazy type IPA. Either that or it was one of these ones that was kind of in between, and that was really, really good. But this one I very much like as well. They've got quite a special beer here. The fruitiness in this is nice. It's got a bit of the dankness and the grapefruity characters like you expect, but it really just rounds off and gives you a lovely kind of juiciness as well. And it's distinctly Slovenian. You know, this you're, as I say, you're not going to get many hops that have a quite as strong a melony flavour to them as the Styrian Wolf. So this one is a proper Slovenian IPA, if you like, and that was one of the things that really interests me about the Slovenian beers and the Slovenian hops. I do like this when you've got, you know, big kind of regionality to your different things. But yeah, this gets a thumbs up from me. I like this one. Yeah, how do we break this down then? So let's focus on the malt base first. Let's do that. So yeah, straight away in the middle of your palate you can feel a little bit of that kind of bready malt there. That blankets the middle of your palate. As you go further into the aftertaste, you are going to feel some of the grainy notes just push their way out in the centre of your tongue. It does just get a little bit drier and more grainy the further that you go into it, which is it's quite nice in its own regard. You do get a good little bit of kind of graininess out of this one, which is nice. But you also get some you also get a lot of sweetness out of this too. It's not the sweetest of West Coast IPAs that you're going to come across, but it does have a nice degree of it. So like I say, nice kind of pale malty white bready qualities there. They blanket the middle of the tongue. Some nice kind of floral aromatic-y notes on the side of the palate too. Those really come out, but let's focus on the malt base. So you do get a little bit of a kind of spicy grainy note towards the back of the palate. As you come further forward, you can feel there's a little bit of a kind of sweeter caramelly type note. There is a wee bit of that in the middle of the palate too, which really mixes well with these melony flavours, but we'll talk about that later. As you move further out from the centre of the palate, you do start to get a few wee biscuity notes, but I would say the sweetness out of this beer is a lot more kind of caramelly and oily rather than anything else, but it's not too sweet a caramel. It's quite a subtle caramel, if that makes sense. And as you move further forward on the palate, you can feel the sort of bready notes just kind of thickening up a little bit until you get to the front third of the tongue. And as I say, the border between the middle third and the front third of your tongue, the first third is where you start to get the fruity notes, and then behind this you get the sweetness. So you can feel a little bit of a thicker bready quality there between the fruity side of the beer and the kind of sweeter malty backbone of it. But the way everything goes together in this one is really nice. I wouldn't say that this is a beer that's overly punchy in any one regard. It's one of these ones that's really nicely balanced, and it gives you a lot of nice flavours in all departments. It gives you a nice malty sweetness. It gives you a good little bit of that floral kind of dankness that you want of a West Coast IPA, but it also gives you some really nice big oily fruity notes, and it is definitely more oily than juicy. As I said, I think the oily fruitiness is a trait that you'll find in a lot of Slovenian beers. But yeah, this is really pretty nice actually. I think this is a beer. It just ticks a lot of boxes for me. I like this one. It's definitely more of a citrusy leaning IPA, this one, I would say. It's not a more just be aware of that. This one is a bit more citrusy leaning than it is tropical leaning. Not much doubt in my mind about that. But on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there is a little bit of earthiness out of this one, and as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, the earthiness does push forward a little bit, but then you start to get some really nice kind of floral resinous notes out of this. That'll be the Comet, but I guess the Aurora will also be contributing to some of the spicier side of things. The darker resinous notes will be the Comet, but the slightly spicy notes sitting on top of that will be the Aurora. And as you go round the front curve of the palate, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. I like how that kind of goes together in this one, just a little bit lighter and more grassy. Then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you've got that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And like I say, it's got a nice it does have a nice big oily juiciness to it, but at the same time it's got a little bit of that more kind of citrusy, zesty quality as well, which I think works very, very well. But yeah, this is definitely a really nice beer actually. This gets a big thumbs up from me. So on the fruity side of things, if you go towards the back of that oily bubble that you get, definitely some nice darker grapefruity notes in there. That's coming from the Comet. And as you come further forward there, you can detect like a little bit of an almost mango-y type quality. There is like a little bit of a tropical fruit there, but as you reach the very kind of front of the palate, it's really all about the melon. It's that big sort of melony citrus quality that coming out from the Styrian Wolf. There is almost a few undertones of like a limey quality in there, and you'll get that as you go right towards the edge of the palate. I think this beer does have a little bit of that slightly darker limey, pardon me, does have a bit of that little darker kind of limey sort of thing coming out of it, and you can feel quite a bit of that citrusy zest around the kind of edge of the palate too, which is quite nice. So this is a big citrusy leaning West Coast IPA in my mind, and that really suits it down to the ground. I like how all the flavours in this go together. So the front edge of your tongue really quite citrusy and a little bit zesty, and you've got those nice kind of slightly florally spicy, but also resinous type qualities on the side of the palate as well. I like how everything goes together in this one. This gets a big thumbs up from me. It's got the typical traits you expect of a West Coast IPA, the bready smoothness, a bit of the kind of caramelly sweetness and things, and also the resinous notes, but the citrusy notes are quite different from what you'd expect from a kind of West Coasty IPA, unless it's a more old school one, because grapefruit, I guess, technically counts as citrus zest rather than being tropical, I guess. But yeah, the main point to take away from this is that it's really nice. If you like melony flavours and you like a little bit of lime and things, if you like these sort of lemon limey type qualities, I think this is an IPA that's going to tick a lot of boxes for you, and I certainly like it. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. The main question is going to be which is the best IPA from Green Gold, but I'm not sure how necessary a question that is. The fact is they've got ones in there that seem to be all a little bit different, so you've got lots of different things you can enjoy from this brewery, which is a positive thing, of course. In terms of the mouthfeel then, yeah, mid-bodied beer, this one, maybe pushing the top end of mid-bodied. Carbonation's really smooth. The mouthfeel overall, like I say, is quite an oily one in this. In terms of the hoppy bitterness, I think we're talking maybe 50 or 60 IBUs with this, so not the highest level of bitterness you're going to come across. As I said, when I first took this beer in, I thought there really wasn't very much bitterness to it. It took the bitterness a little while to kind of show its head, to be honest with you. But I think this is a sort of 50-60 IBU beer. It's quite citrusy and it's fruity notes, big oily kind of fruity qualities in this one, a lot of melony notes, a little bit of limey quality, and the malt base, like I said, is quite smooth, and it's also got some really nice kind of sweet caramelly notes and a little bit of biscuit to it as well. But overall, this is a very, very nice tasting beer, this one, and I do like how it goes together. So big thumbs up to Green Gold Brewing for this one. This is another solid IPA from them, and I'm curious to see what the other ones are like, because I think it's another 2 or 3 IPAs that I've still got to try from these guys. There's a lager beer in there, a pilsner, and there's also a fruit wheat, if I remember correctly. So there's another 2 or 3 IPAs to come from Green Gold Brewing. So I hope you enjoy this Green Gold mini-series that you're going to see over the next couple of weeks, and it's definitely cool to have some more Slovenian beers. I need to arrange a box again with Davor at some point and get a few things from the different breweries as well to review. So yeah, that's something that we will sort out at some point fairly soon. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Comet As You Are, a lovely West Coast IPA with a lot of citrusy character and nice oiliness from Green Gold Brewing in Celje in Slovenia. Awesome to review another beer from these guys for you, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my take on this one. So let's leave it at that. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Green Gold Brewing as well. You will see a good few more reviews from these guys over the next little while, and I do hope that in the coming months and things we will see more Slovenian beers, which I'm sure we will actually. Thank you again for watching my reviews, and I will catch you guys very soon. This one is the Comet As You Are, a 6% West Coast IPA from Green Gold Brewing in Celje in the Savinja Valley in Slovenia. Savinja, skål, na zdravje.